Thank you so much. Yeah, it's my pleasure to present to AEC Hackathon. We love the hackathon and want to continue to support all the initiatives being driven through this organization. Just want to give a little bit more introduction to myself. I'm a group program manager at Milwaukee Tool. Run the One Key asset management and connected tool program here. My background: 19 years experience in construction and construction technology. I actually started my career as an inside wireman in Milwaukee, Wisconsin through the IBEW. Found a love for technology, picked up a bachelor's degree along the way, and have spent many years working in construction technology. I actually worked for a construction ERP software company for a very long time, doing solution engineering, implementations, running sales and account management, and really spent many years traveling North America, visiting with construction contractors and working on enabling them to adopt technology. There's so much out there today, and it's my pleasure to talk a little bit about the Connected Jobsite. And really kind of the agenda for today is kind of rehashing some of the stuff that we already know, the industry challenges that are out there, which has created the emergence of the Connected Jobsite. And within the Connected Jobsite, just going to cover, high level some of the solutions and insights out there, as well as what we're doing here at Milwaukee. And then talk a little bit about a call to action. What can we do as technologists and in the construction industry to drive home some of these solutions to be able to get these insights and the data that we're after. So with that, we'll jump into things. Headwinds continue to challenge the industry. And for me, it's not difficult to fill out the bingo card about all the challenges that are out there, from health and safety to the low technology adoption, poor quality, slow growth, low investment, of course, the aging workforce, skills shortages, low productivity, risk. There's just so much that the industry has faced when we compare to other industries that have tons of growth in productivity and safety. And the one thing that we can kind of point at in terms of how those other industries have evolved is technology. So some of the key challenges that have faced construction are really the labor shortage. We know that contractors are having a struggle to hire. 81% of contractors are struggling to hire and to replace their labor force. In terms of technology adoption, 75% of construction companies are still spending less than 1% on IT initiatives. There's a stagnant productivity out there. When we look at this growth, and again, comparing to other industries, the construction industry is at a 1% year-over-year growth in productivity. And then safety, always a concern and will always be a concern, but there's some staggering statistics out there. When we compare construction to the rest of the industries out there, 21% of work-related deaths are in the construction industry. And if those challenges weren't enough, we are met with a global pandemic. COVID-19 hits, and just as we're starting to meet some of those challenges with solutions, we're all talking about the pandemic. And some of the keywords out there that we've all heard time and time again are lockdown, essential businesses, offices are closed, absentee workforce, supply chain issues, PPE, social distancing, virtual world, and obviously economic conditions. So when we look at these, all of these challenges have created opportunity, which have driven investment and are now creating solutions. And what we really need to do to be able to look at what's out there today is kind of get in our time machine and look back at what happened in 2018. In 2018, there was a huge tech investment into our industry. Over $3 billion flowed in through investment, and over 130 deals were made and we're talking about the startups and investment in solution and technology startups within the construction industry. We saw that there was a lot of acquisitions that started happening within some of the major players out there with these startups. And this flow of money into tech really started back in 2018. And if we fast forward to today, What happened in 2018, those solutions are starting to mature, and we're actually realizing that tech investment today, and it couldn't be at a better time with this global pandemic where we're seeing all of these changes in our industry, where when we look throughout the United States, and Procore did a great job of doing this, construction still, for the most part, was essential in all 50 states. So that brings us to the Connected Jobsite. To understand the Connected Jobsite, we kind of just have to rehash the obvious. You know, what was the evolution of IoT in our industry? And if we look back, the emergence of the internet meant we can now log on to the World Wide Web from our computers. That then evolved into the mobile internet, where we are now able to interact mobilely. So we didn't have to be chained to our desk with our PC. We could now be out on job sites, in trailers, just en route, in transit. No matter where we were, we could be connected. But we were still, what connected meant was we were still manually interacting with the internet. Mobile internet then emerged into the Internet of Things, and that's kind of where we see the Connected Jobsite come out. And it's that we don't have to manually interact anymore. We have sensors and smart devices that are now broadcasting information with that internet autonomously and giving us those insights. So we now live in the world of the IoT, and it's going to continue to evolve. This has now emerged into the Connected Jobsite, and the Connected Jobsite is something we started talking about, 5, 6, almost 8 years ago as a potential in the industry. And it's still one of those things that is kind of open-ended. There's many different definitions out there, but my definition of the Connected Jobsite is connecting all elements of the built environment with autonomy for real-time communication, collaboration, and management. This will help us ensure a more lean, safe, and efficient and productive execution of work in the built environment. Many benefits will emerge from the Connected Jobsite: proactive productivity, prevention, cost reductions, real-time observation, precision controls over the way we build, better safety and security on a job site, tracking and traceability of all resources, planning, automation, collaboration between all stakeholders, a competitive advantage to those that are early in their adoption, and of course, kind of the elephant in the room is the ability to aggregate the data. Aggregating the data is going to obviously open the doors to things like machine learning, predictive analytics, and AI, all things that are important to the data scientists, the data analysts, and of course the construction technologists out there that are trying to adopt the technology that's available and becoming more lean and more competitive in the workspace. So that brings us to the solutions and insights. And in this section of the presentation, I just want to kind of highlight some of the ones that are out there. And maybe we're aware of them, but these are kind of the big hitters. So first and foremost, here at Milwaukee Tool, we have the One Key asset management platform. And our asset management platform really has 4 main pillars. There's the connected tool experience. So putting IoT in our tool platform. We have over 50 smart tools in the platform and growing, as well as tracking devices. And what these tools, these smart tools, allow us to do is really be more safe by being able to flip on and off safety features within a tool. Maybe it's an anti-kickback feature on a drill. So as soon as the drill senses it's starting to bind, it shuts down, even my fingers on the trigger, making sure that I'm safe. I don't know how many job site injuries have been caused through the wrist and the tools being utilized. There's the cutoff on a saw, so that if I'm using a Milwaukee Sawzall, the tool can actually sense when it gets past the material and will automatically shut the blade off, even if my finger's on the trigger. But then there's also the customization features that I can go into a tool like a drill and customize the torque, the RPMs, the trigger ramp up speed, be able to control torques on a torque wrench with the Milwaukee Digital Torque Wrench, crimps on our crimper, ensuring repeatability of the application as well as quality of work. So The customization piece is key, but then there's the tracking side of it and another pillar, being able to know where my tools and equipment are at any point in time. Milwaukee is the largest tracking network, so we get over 5.5 million location updates of Milwaukee Tools through our crowdsourced Bluetooth tracking network. But that also allows you to secure a job site by putting a geofence around it so that you know when you tool up a job, you know what tools are on the job site, and if they grow legs and walk away, you can be alerted to that. And then there's the asset management, the software platform. So being able to keep a digital inventory and keep audit trails and tracking of that inventory. And lastly is the data piece. Milwaukee, we've started creating our elegant integrations out there, which is a topic of our conversation today, but integrating with Procore and others and creating an integration roadmap that's critical to supporting the construction technology ecosystem, while also we're working in beta on our open API so that contractors and end users can actually get access to that information and customize their workflows and the integration that they want within their self-contained construction technology ecosystem. So there is a lot of key components into the Milwaukee platform in support of the Connected Jobsite. But we're not the only ones. When we look at other resource management, like material tracking, we're seeing things like Jovix and the RFID tagging of material. So contractors are, when you go out on a job site, you see a really messy job site. And why is that? That's because material is coming in and it's going into laydown yards and it's starting to create a mess on the site. You also lose visibility to what you have. So with material tracking and things like RFID sensors, contractors are getting more supply chain visibility, the traceability, contactless deliveries. So things just pull in, get dropped off, and you're alerted to the fact that the material's there. And this can also set you up if you're getting into lean planning, just-in-time delivery, and being better suited for material readiness on a job site. We also see the drones flying around, and drones are an interesting technology. At its inception, they were more of a marketing gimmick, that I could fly drones and virtually see the job site itself. And that's still true today. But these drones and the technology behind them are doing far more. They can start doing surveys. So you don't need to actually put boots on the ground to do a survey. You just launch a drone and you can get the survey technology in. Better site planning and coordination, building inspections, monitoring progress, security surveillance on the job site, geolocation mapping, and of course, when we start talking about digital twins and simulation, we're getting that data back from these drones. On kind of the same level as drones are on-site cameras. So it's not a drone that can fly and start doing these things and move around a building, but they're things that you can put up and get some real-time virtual access. So during a pandemic, when your back office staff may not be able to go out onto a job site, you can get that real-time virtual access. And these cameras are giving you the 24/7 security that you need to also help with risk and safety documentation, entry monitoring, and progress reporting. The technology in these cameras, like looking at Sensera, they're very easy to put up, solar powered, so you don't need to worry about having power on the job site. They can go up day one and they can come off at the end of the site, at the end of construction on the site. So these cameras are now allowing really that virtual access and monitoring on the job sites and getting extreme amounts of data coming in virtually. Then we have the equipment control and monitoring. So starting to put sensors on machinery, getting a ton of insights into the cost of running equipment, making sure that you're logging automation, tracking, and getting measurements. A really good use case for this is it's expensive to run machinery. When you think of things like cranes, that crane starts to go up, you're now invested in that lift. So with the monitoring, you can actually tell, okay, how long has this crane been running? And maybe I want to control my costs with overtime and say, okay, we need to stop this, this haul or this lift. Better security on the equipment itself with the sensors and being able to detect and reduce threats out in the built environment. Then we get into environmental conditions. So kind of the, Pillar Technologies is a great use case for some of the beacons that are going into job sites, and tying these beacons into the plan and the model so that you can start to track the environmental conditions on a job site, not just for safety, but for risk as well. There's a very good use case for a big general contractor that was building a building. And in the middle of the night, the temperature dropped dramatically. And these beacons can now pick up on that and alert the necessary people. And what would have resulted, it was actually a temperature decrease that would have frozen the pipes and resulted in burst pipes and a ton of damage on the job site. So when you think of the costs involved and the delays that could happen with some environmental conditions, being proactive and monitoring and getting this data back is critical. But also these things can pick up things like dust particulates or just movement in an area so that you know where people are working and when and what the conditions are. So a ton of data from these environmental monitors that can be, just very quickly and easily put into a job site. And then the labor, our most important and vital resource in the built world. How can we be better and smarter with how we manage labor? So things like real-time monitoring and progress reporting, but being able to put IoT beacons on people, we can start to get safety incident alerting information. Was there a fall? Where are people? If there's an environmental condition on a job site, who do I need to alert based on their proximity? And then what's the best way to evacuate those people? We can start to get automated time capture from these devices. So just by walking in a job site, it gets picked up by a beacon. And if you're now mapping this labor information with your schedule, you can automate the whole time capture process. So obviously there's a lot of things in here, but even in the COVID world, Triax has a proximity sensor for the social distancing aspect of it. So keeping our people safe and healthy at all times, as well as not being a big brother, but just being able to automate and be more efficient in the workflows and the planning and the management of our labor force is critical in this day and age. And then lastly, it wouldn't be a Connected Job Site presentation without talking about Spot, our robot friend from Boston Dynamics. And this is where robotics is starting to emerge into the conversation. In robotics and construction, it's a really tough thing because it's hard to replace a person with a robot because every job is different. And jobs are, another challenge in construction is that jobs are becoming more complex. Advances in architectural and engineering are making a job more specialized and custom. So it's really hard to advance robots in replacing people, but robots can be out there monitoring the job site for our safety, as well as giving us the insights from the job for enabling things like digital twin technology and scanning the job site. We'll start to see robotics kind of come in a little bit more on the prefab side because that's where we've already said, hey, this prefab work is more like manufacturing and it's going to make the job site more lean and more clean and efficient, but it's off-site construction versus the built world where we'll start to see some of the robotics enter in more from reality capture, quality monitoring, and autonomous progress monitoring. So when we look at the connected job site and how we approach it, the main question here is your data working for you or are you having to work for your data? How can we use the connected devices and sensors and IoT that's out there in construction today that's mature to automate that delivery of data? And then what can we do with that data? So Autodesk came out with this kind of infographic a couple years ago, the construction site of the future. By getting IoT into construction, what does this all look like in all aspects of a site? And it was deemed the construction site of the future. But today, all of these solutions are out there. Everything that I covered so far, it's out there. We're getting the solutions into the built world, and we're now getting that data and insights back. So the key component is that how, why, what is this that I can actually get from introducing the IoT into construction? So that brings us to our call to action. As someone that has been in technology for quite a while, you know, it's always been the back and forth, specialized or generalized in terms of the solutions that I want to put into my business. Specialized is the niche applications that are really good at doing a specific thing. Whereas generalized is that more I'm looking into the forest, not directly at the leaf. And I have some general functionality, none of it being highly specialized. And that was always the question. And it was something that I dealt with being in ERP, is we would hope that people would be more generalized because that's where ERP comes in. But then it would ebb and flow with the specialized piece. Well, guess what? Today, with the way technology is, the answer to this question, specialized or generalized, is both. Open APIs and elegant integrations are reshaping the industry today. And this is only helping our mission in technology adoption within construction. So McKinsey did a great kind of infographic on the construction technology ecosystem. And we saw this great deal of investment in 2018, and that was focused around a ton of different use cases out there. And that's what's critical, the use cases. How can we use investment in technology to create a really elegant and far-reaching technology ecosystem to drive forward safety and productivity in the industry? And we start seeing all of these use cases being connected with other use cases. And then we start to see some of the emerging markets that are out there, like the digital twin technology and AI and supply chain optimization starting to come in. And it really makes it easier for these startups to enter into the market itself. But then you also have some of the hubs, some of the big providers out there that are really creating kind of an out-of-the-box technology ecosystem experience for the end users. Some of the big hitters out there, your Procore and your Autodesk BIM 360. Procore App Marketplace, these are all people that have already integrated with Procore that are at your fingertips. And there's almost 300 apps integrated with Procore today. Autodesk with their Forge application for integration partners is another great example where they're making it easy for the solution providers to integrate with them and be considered within their technology ecosystems. But it doesn't end here. If you've gone out there and you've integrated yourself as a solution provider with Procore, you have that API available. You have the open API that's allowing for customization and people to create their own integrations with you. And this is critical really for any solution provider within the construction industry to support in this day and age. Otherwise, the competition, if you aren't, your competition already is. So this comes down to the big adoption issue and how do I implement solutions within my business? And really, it's simple. And I've had boots on the ground for many, many years tackling this challenge. And it's not something that you need to be overwhelmed with. Step one is building the team. The best team within an organization includes stakeholders throughout your organization. You assemble those that are passionate about technology, that are passionate about the vision and objectives your organization has, and will be champions pushing forward success and adoption. That team can then go out there and start identifying solutions. You want to identify solutions by seeking out waste and opportunities for efficiencies within your organization. You want to anchor the opportunity with your own use cases. Document those requirements and identify the possible solution providers. But then what's critical here is that those solution providers need to be able to support your infrastructure. And if they don't, there needs to be a plan to do so. Is there an open API? Is there an elegant integration? How does that solution fit into your own technology ecosystem? And if they can't support it, then they're not going to be a solution for you. Once you get that solution, you pilot it. It's never a big bang. What you want to do is build something that you can iterate on, but you want to quickly get it into the hands of a good pilot job site, where you can start to measure against your objective with some key results that you and the team have come up with. And then determine, do you need to refine and iterate that, or do you need to reject that solution altogether? It's really quick and easy to get in, and these solution providers make it dirt simple to do so, especially with the SaaS model in terms of technology licensing, or with Milwaukee OneKey where it's just free to use. And then if you've gotten to the point where you're successful, you roll it out. You now have your champions. You have some insights and some successes and metrics with key results based in support of your objectives that you can share with the entire organization. Get people bought into your mission, communicate the success that you've had, and you will win in pushing forward that adoption of that solution that had a clear-cut objective and use case that it was anchored to. And that takes us to the end of kind of our dive into the Connected Jobsite. The challenges that we face, the solutions that are out there, what the Connected Jobsite is doing as it's emerged to give us more data and insights, and how we can actually start to implement that within our construction technology ecosystems. So I think we're ready for some Q&A if there are any, but that's what I had from a presentation standpoint.